Real estate is definitely a big purchase. Being too aggressive can put you at risk, while being too conservative can be very limiting. But what is the sweet spot? How do you know how much you can afford? Just follow the method I call the 3-3-30 rule. I'm Edric Maguan, and this is The Real Deal. When it comes to buying our daily essentials, gadgets, or home appliances, it's pretty straightforward. Alam natin kung magkano, and alam din natin how much cash we have. If it's within our budget, mabilis lang mag-decide. But when it comes to buying real estate, it's totally different. Sa totoo lang, real estate can be the most expensive thing we would ever purchase in our whole life. The prices are always in the millions, and have become more and more expensive over the years. So when you focus on the total price of real estate, malulula ka talaga. You would think that the amount of savings and income you have will never be enough. And even when you work harder and get promoted, it seems that it could never catch up. That's why many can't get started because they can't look past the total price of real estate. Some people naman are too aggressive, meaning they're buying real estate even if it's way higher than what they can afford and pay for long term. Dito nangyayari ang mga nagbebenta ng property at a loss. They lost control of their finances. Remember that real estate is also a long-term commitment, especially if you purchase the property via bank financing or home loan. So how do you know how much you can afford? Paano ba mahanap ang sweet spot? In a way na makaka-invest ka as soon as possible sa property na gusto mo without putting yourself at risk. Just follow the method I call the 3-3-30 rule. Rule number 1. Prepare at least 3 months worth of your income as an emergency fund. Before you even explore any real estate properties, you have to build good financial habits, including maintaining an emergency fund. In case of any unforeseen circumstances, your emergency fund should give you enough time to recover and get back to your normal financial situation. Remember that maintaining financial control is one of the most important aspects when buying or investing in real estate. So magkano ba dapat ang emergency fund? You may have heard advice from others that the emergency fund should be equivalent to at least 3 months worth of your expenses. But because buying real estate is a major financial decision, I would suggest making it at least 3 months worth of your income. This way, you have a bit more buffer or safety net. Again, rule of thumb lang ito. At minimum lang ang 3 months, so you can go higher depending on the nature of your job, how stable your source of income is, and if you have major financial responsibilities. Some may opt to choose to save up to 6 months worth of their income because they feel that if they face some financial distress, this is the amount that will give them enough time to adjust. But just a word of caution. The more money you have sleeping in the bank, the more you lose out to inflation. So just make sure that you have enough emergency fund to cover all your expenses and cash outlays, including the monthly payments for your upcoming real estate purchase. Any excess of that amount can be put into investments. Before we move on to rule number 2, if you find this content helpful, hit the like button. Rule number 2, plan your life and financial goals at least 3 years ahead. Many don't realize the power of planning. The problem is, marami sa atin, last minute na pinag-iisipan ang pagbili ng real estate. At the point na limited na yung options, halos di na mag-fit sa checklist considering the budget. In other words, malayo na yung expectations versus reality. So some end up settling for less or delaying their purchase year after year after year. The best part about planning your life at least 3 years ahead is that you are actually opening up so many viable real estate options for you, whether it's your future home or as an investment. When you plan ahead, you can afford a bigger and better property, one that checks all the boxes. Also, with planning, you make buying real estate a lot easier to manage financially and a lot more rewarding, especially if you're an investor. What do I mean by this? As an example, let's say that today you have a budget of 30,000 pesos monthly to invest in a pre-selling property. You also know that some pre-selling properties today don't require you to pay a spot down payment. The down payment of 15%, for example, is paid in installments over the entire pre-selling period. If you plan 3 years or 36 months before you actually envision yourself needing the property, you're opening yourself up to more options. Investing $30,000 monthly over the next 3 years could afford you a bigger and better property at that monthly budget. In contrast, if you were to buy a pre-selling property only 1 year ahead of when you need it, you would have to pay $90,000 monthly under the same 15% down payment terms, triple the amount of your $30,000 monthly budget. Or sticking to your budget means you could only afford a smaller property under the same terms. If you're buying a ready for occupancy property or RFO, you should be prepared with at least 30% of the total price as spot cash down payment. Why 30%? Because banks normally loan up to 70 to 80% of the assessed value of the property. And if you're considering buying a PASALO deal and the property doesn't have a title yet, be prepared with a bigger spot down payment of up to 50%. Not only that, by not planning ahead and investing early, you're also letting go of capital appreciation that you could have started enjoying earlier. When you invest early, you are locking in your total contract price, meaning any capital appreciation on the property will go to you. This is especially beneficial if you invest in a high growth potential property or one with many ongoing and planned infrastructure, office, and commercial developments. If you want to know which locations and developments have high growth potential, schedule a free consultation with me or message me by the link in the description. Remember that planning 3 years ahead is just a rule of thumb. But imagine if you planned even longer. You could earn bigger gains. And this is really what is at the heart of real estate investing or investing in general. There is a saying that time in the market beats timing the market. And because the price of real estate is a lot less volatile than many other common types of investments, this is even more true. Many who have decided to invest early rather than saving up and waiting have maximized their gains while minimizing their cash outlay. This is something I talked about in detail in another video. Check it out. Rule number 3. Allocate around 30% of your monthly income for monthly down payments or monthly amortization. This rule applies whether you're buying a ready for occupancy property or a pre-selling property. The only difference is RFO properties require you to pay a spot down payment, as I mentioned earlier, while pre-selling properties don't. Again, the 30% rule is just a rule of thumb. You can certainly allocate more than 30% of your monthly income to invest in real estate if you feel you have the long-term capacity to do so. It's all about how you're able to manage your money efficiently and effectively. But pegging 30% of your monthly income for real estate investment is a fairly safe amount to target. This is also somewhat in line with the bank's criteria on assessing your financial capacity to pay the loan, on top of looking at your credit history and statement of assets and liabilities. So for example, you have an income of $70,000 per month. It is safe to target a monthly down payment of around $21,000, which is already enough to give you great options if you choose to invest early by following rule number 2. But remember, also take into consideration the financials of investing in a property long term. For example, after the property is turned over to you, the monthly amortization may work and look differently from the monthly down payment. But also consider you may have some savings if you are buying a home and you no longer need to rent. On the other hand, you will have a bigger income when you invest in a rental property and have it leased out. Finally, if you find a more expensive property you really like but you aren't comfortable going over 30% of your monthly income as your investment budget, you may want to bring in a co-buyer. For first-time investors, having a co-buyer can greatly reduce the financial burden you feel as you test the waters of real estate investing. I've seen all sorts of co-buyers. I've had clients who are high school or college friends come together to co-buy a property for long-term gains. I've even had clients investing with their significant other even prior to getting married. I've seen parents co-buy with their children to teach them the importance and the power of investing while they're still young. Sa totoo lang, you don't need to wait until you have saved up millions before investing in real estate. Just follow the 3-3-30 rule. Have an emergency fund of at least 3 months worth of your income. Plan your life goals at least 3 years in advance. And finally, allocate around 30% of your monthly income for your monthly down payment and amortization. By doing so, you'll be giving yourself more options and more gains in real estate. Thank you for watching. If you want to inquire about the pre-selling developments that I offer, you may get sample computations or sign up for a free consultation by visiting my website or by messaging me on my social media. I'm an accredited broker of the country's most trusted developers. And if you want to learn more about real estate investing, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other video. Let's get rich and financially free, one property at a time.